What is up, Drum Alert Nation? I'm your host, Killer Keemstar. Let's get right into this. Honestly, where do we even start with this just pile of complete and utter nonsense? That is a great example of, I guess, or extrapolate it to what is happening in society and the disconnect between companies and social media companies and corporations and the actual, I guess, mentality of a vast majority of the people. And this Battlefield 5 situation is a great example of just how the disconnect between, I guess, them and us and what us want. And a reckoning is coming soon. In fact, a reckoning already has happened that a lot of people are talking about, but I don't think putting enough emphasis on. And this Battlefield 5 just catastrophe when it comes to gaming. It's just deep, man. It's so deep. It's just crazy. So it started off with the horrible trailers with a bunch of cybernetic lesbian women jumping out of tanks and no scoping people and respecting Wayman and making sure we have a proper, I guess, representation of fantasy that somehow occurred in a World War II game. And let me stop right there and say that, listen, no one has a problem with putting women in strong roles. There's no problem with, having everyone involved and everybody, black, white, whatever sexuality, orientation. But it's the forced inclusivity that is just driving people nuts. And it's fake, it's lies, it's like a propaganda machine. And that's what this Battlefield 5 was about. And that's what people get upset about. No one had a problem with Sigourney Weaver was in Aliens. She's a badass woman kicking butt. It was great. Tomb Raider, no problem. The Last of Us, no problem. I mean, et cetera, et cetera. You can give millions of examples of just women or people who are not of the majority represented in, I guess, media and games and entertainment. And no one has a problem with that. Star Wars, last Star Wars, that was a big problem. Forced inclusivity. Ridiculousness, but what do you expect when pretty much the entire producers and writing team is a bunch of women? So Wayman, respect them.
But respect women. Respect women.
So anyways, on to Battlefield 5 here and how crazy and how deep this whole of just insanity has gone. So the game launches, the trailers are horrible, people are not excited about it, it's stupid. Why would you call it a World War II game? Obviously EA tells people, hey, if you don't like it, don't buy it, we're putting women in it, and that's just how it's going to be. Too bad, so sad. And then what happened is pre-sales, pre-purchases, whatever you want to call it, were horrible. The player base has gone way down. They've cut the price in half less than a month after release because no one's buying it. EA stock as well has, if you don't know, crashed. The EA stock is just falling out the sky. They doubled down basically with don't buy the game if you don't like it. They went out and talked trash. They were, disrespectful to the fan base. They didn't listen to what people were saying because, it's a bunch of left-wing SJWs over there at DICE apparently. And they just stayed on course and they've paid the price. Obviously, no one even cares about Battlefield 5. I mean, the game apparently is good. It's actually the core base mechanics of the game is pretty fun. But that's neither here nor there. Rather, that's not the point of this conversation. And then there is the kerfuffle and the ridiculous of a rewriting history. DICE rewrites history to make it like an all-inclusive style war, which is completely disrespectful and also just stupid. What are we doing here? It's a World War II game. Why are we changing the history? That's dangerous. I mean, people out here who, you can figure that's dangerous. You don't rewrite history to make it a lie, to make it inclusive. So, let me just read this. It has come to my realization that your war stories are pure fabrication and your revisionist historical agenda disgraces the actual men who fought and died. This would have been okay if you told everyone at the beginning this game is pure fiction, but you sold it as a fact. Why did you do this? Okay, video removed to inappropriate content. Oh, well, big surprise. To summarize, you completely revised and lied about the Norwegian and British commandos' efforts In Destroying Heavy Water, the story with the girl and her mother is just pure fabrication. Why didn't you tell the actual story about Operation Gunnerside? Why lie and change it all? Next up was the British SBS. You have now told the world that the British SBS is made up of hardened criminals. This is a lie and utterly destroys the memory of these brave men who taint their memory. The British SBS were recruited from veteran Royal Marine Commandos. They were all volunteers, good, honest, and hardworking men who are ready to sacrifice all. Why change history? Why not actually make a story about Operation Anglo? Why lie and dance on the graves of the Allied fallen? But this one right here is the point about the whole SJW, Wayman, respecting Wayman, just ridiculousness. And so they made it into two women pretty much who did like one of the most important missions to stop the Nazis from getting hard water, which is one of the pure, main ingredients, one of the things you need to make a nuclear war, a nuclear weapon bomb. And it was actually, a very important part of World War II, and they made it into women doing it. I think that's a pretty big away from reality to make this game inclusive. Like that in itself is just, quite frankly, like, I know it's just a video game, right? But no, it's not. It's a World War II game, and it has to do with an extrapolation to how the world and this freaking, I guess, jaunt and this movement away from actual reality and facts. And like they always say, Ben Shapiro, facts don't care about feelings. And then from all this backlash and all this hate and the sales doubling, dropping, and going out the sky and falling like a dead bird, and the stock prices of EA dropping, they go at DICE and have a party where they openly just mock and bash people who are talking, I guess, disparagingly about this game with the everyone's battlefield. And if you look and zoom in on the pictures, you can see how they've got all like the different, like, people flaming the game in parentheses, sort of making fun of the people who are supposed to be their consumer. And it's just like, what in the hell is going on here? This insanity, this ridiculousness of like corporations and these media companies and entertainment companies, and the disconnect. And it's just like, honestly, they're being run by a group of people with ideologies and political views who in no way and whatsoever are in line with the actual consumer and the vast majority of people who are their customers. It's absolutely insane. They're in some kind of little bubble. It's like they're in some kind of world of like safe space, puppies and coloring books, bubble of pink-haired weirdos, and they don't seem to realize what the hell is going on out around them. Like this new thing, I mean, this is just a point as well, because it's just, happened, and it has nothing to Battlefield 5, but it works well with what we're talking about here. Kevin Hart stepped down from being host of the Oscars, right? Because he had some tweets from 10 years ago that were, I guess, homophobic, and he was making jokes about gays and whatnot, and about how if his son came home and played with dolls, he'd smack him in the head and stuff like that. And, because of that, the Academy Award wanted him to apologize, or he couldn't host the Oscars. And he says, I'm not going to apologize. But he did some huge, big tweets out there about apologizing anyways, and that he didn't mean to hurt people. It was about building love. And they're sorry he has to step down. He can't host the Oscars. So he did apologize, but at the same time stepped down from hosting the Oscars, when the best quote and the funniest thing is Ricky Gervais said, the only time I'm offended by comedians is when they apologize. And this is what's going on. Like, no, we're not apologizing. And no, the Battlefield and gaming community did not apologize for this. They didn't buy the game. They told Battlefield, or rather EA, to go pound sand. The stocks are dropping. DICE's game is pretty much irrelevant. They're dropping the price, pretty much almost trying to give it away to get player base numbers back up. Regardless, like I said, the game itself apparently is pretty good. But the whole problems and the whole controversy behind it is not I'm not buying it. I don't care if the game's $10, still wouldn't buy it. But anyways, I digress. The point is that this Battlefield 5, this whole freaking system, man, this whole system is out of whack. And it's a small group of people living in a bubble that don't have the actual, I guess, understanding of what's really going on outside their little crazy puppies and snowflakes bubble. And they're paying for it, and the reckoning is coming. And this Battlefield 5 cluster catastrophe is on some next level shit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching this video. My name is 8 Thoughts. I hope you enjoyed it. Hey, if you made it this far, congratulations. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, or aren't subscribed rather. And hey, could it be smash that like button for equality? Can we smash that like button for equality? I'd appreciate that very much. And last but not least, and most importantly, my snowflake friends, Stay black. Go to hockey cracker reptilian shapes. After building a moon base, the Spain capture, now the judges, go tires, under people, go result, the fat, take L's, don't build, hold, park, they white man, turn you, bring you down.
Respect women. The women. Women. Respecting women. Respecting women. Don't you dare ever slide into a girl's DMs, because if you do, that means you don't respect women.